Well, we get it rolling on the Krueger Show on a Monday. Back with Raj. Mondays at 1 with Raj, who's a little bit under the weather. So we're going to make this a kind of probably a little bit more of a brief version of the Krueger Raj Monday extravaganza. And of course, we've been known to go on and on and on after a on a Niner Monday. But today, with Raj ailing, we'll make it a shorter show. Raj, good to see you. Thanks for gutting it out. Not feeling 100%, but we have a lozenge down, right? And we've got water nearby.
Oh, yeah. I'm on the injured reserve list, just like most of the 49ers are during the season. So we're good, though. We're good. Appreciate you for having me on again.
I blame Shanahan, actually, for your illness. I think it's the practice schedule.
Yeah.
They go too hard on Thursdays, and that is what's driven your voice away from you. I blame Shanahan.
Me too.
I may even throw a poll up on Twitter.
He ran me up the middle too much, and look at me now. That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. You don't run Raj up the middle. You can't go content creator power on first down with Raj and expect to keep it rolling.
Yeah.
All right, we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. Northern California's best barbecue. Marin County, they're in Corte Madera, open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and they're open in Emeryville, inside the Emeryville Public Marketplace, Wednesday through Sunday. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, it is entitled, What is the 49ers' primary weakness? They've had the draft. They've had free agency. This is my first conversation with you since the draft, I believe, right? We haven't talked since the draft. What do you think? What's the before we get into the draft, what's the primary weakness of the Niners?
It's a good question. I still think it's edge rusher. I know like everybody wants to say offensive line. I really think they believe in McKivitz. They've done a good job over the years of finding a guy and making him get more out of what we expect on the offensive line. Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Aaron Banks, now Colton McKivitz. I think the O-line is going to be fine. I think people are just mad that they didn't get a right tackle in the draft. And they said in the draft, after the draft, Lynch and Shanahan said there was no guy that would have came in and started over the guys they have. They didn't want to pick a guy. I'm still a little worried about the edge rusher. I like Robert Beal. I think that was a solid pick, but can he be a premium 10 sack guy first year? Drake Jackson, a lot of pressure on him. Alex Barrett, I don't even know if he's going to make the team. Clelin Ferrell, I mean, I'm sure he'll do okay. He'll probably replace Ebukam. And then you got a guy, Austin Bryant. He hasn't been healthy throughout his career, so I still feel the edge rusher is the biggest weakness. I love Nick Bosa. He's the guy. I know Hargrave was brought in to be his, running mate in that pass rush game, but I just still feel like they could get a veteran pass rush. They signed a defensive lineman today, but not an edge rusher. Like Yannick Ngakoue still there. Frank Clark's still available. There's still some guys they can go sign. That's, to me, I still feel like edge rush is their weakest link.
They did pick up Marlon Davidson today, 6'3", 303-pound, former defensive tackle at Auburn, and he's another one of these Auburn defensive tackles that has great strength. Probably more of a two-down player, but I got to do some more breakdown on Marlon Davidson before I can really speak definitively. But yeah, he's in the fold. I agree. I think edge rush is the spot. I think they believe in McKivitz. I believe in McKivitz, and I think they're fortified with some other guys on the offensive line there. But edge rusher is a need. Unless Drake Jackson is going to break out and have just an unbelievable, year two. And this was a guy who I really like a lot. I think Drake's got a lot of talent, but, he was inactive a number of weeks down the stretch last year. And it's like, he's slated to start and play a key role. And I think he can for sure. The question is he up to it? What kind of offseason has he had? Has he put on good weight in the upper body? Is he stronger, more explosive? I mean, I expect him to look a lot better from year one to year two. How much better he looks really determines a lot for them this year, unless they can get that veteran piece. I mean, how much better would the Niners be if they could get a Montez Sweat a Leonard Floyd, a Yannick Ngakwe, a Frank Clark. I mean, they would be quite a bit better and more fearsome. To me, that it would be that's the one. If you say what's the last piece of the puzzle, I'd say it's Montez Sweat.
Oof.
Or you put Montez Sweat on this team somehow, some way. Um, this team's going to the Super Bowl or has a very good chance to.
Yeah, that'd be dangerous getting a guy like him. Again, I like Drake Jackson just like you, but I don't know if he's going to be able to take that leap. We saw Hufanga take a huge leap last year, and I think they expect that out of Drake Jackson because every year they have a few guys that take that leap. Aaron Banks, Hufanga last year. And I think they're putting that pressure on him. And again, he has to get his body in the right shape because you're right. They deactivated him last year towards the end of the stretch because his body wasn't ready to go down, the end of the season, a 17-game season plus the playoffs. So can he even do that this year? We don't know that he can make it through a full season this year. And then you got Robert Beal, like I said, a great guy, good pass rusher off the edge, explosive. But again, he's a rookie coming into this team. We saw Drake Jackson, get limited snaps towards the end of the season. Is that going to happen with Robert Beal? So I agree. I feel like someone that's been in the league that has proven that they can go through a full season and still be consistent throughout the year and get production is what this team needs. Again, there's no disrespect to Drake. I think he will be very, very good starter this year. And I think he'll take the challenge, but I would still feel more comfortable if they added a guy like, Sweat. You can sit here, name all the names like you did. And I think this would put this team into that upper echelon of they're probably at the very least be penciled in to be back to the NFL championship game.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the spot, and it sets up nicely for them as far as the free agent market. I mean, there's not, it's not every year that you get to May the 8th and there's 7 or 8 big time pass rushers available. Usually there's 1 or 2. There's 7 or 8 guys. We didn't even mention all of them. Jason Pierre-Paul, I think, is still a nice player. Justin Houston would help them quite a bit. Melvin Ingram would help them quite a bit. There's a bunch of guys out there. So it'll be interesting to see if they go in that direction. To me, that's the final piece of the puzzle. If you could get a Leonard Floyd, and he's had 3 really good years with the Rams. If you could get a Leonard Floyd and he could just replicate what he's done over the last 3 years, but with you in your defense opposite Bosa, I think the 49ers are scary in what they can potentially do. All right. One of the interesting things I saw today, and I forget who had it, Chapman or one of the guys had a tweet on this. And forgive me if I haven't cited the right source, maybe John Chapman. He had the 49ers 2024 cap hits. And it's really interesting. Debo's cap hit next year, Raj, $28.5 million. Trent Williams, $28 million. Warner's 24.4. Armstead, 23.9. Kittle 19.8, Charvarius Ward 17.9, Hargrave 15.5, CMC 14.4, and Ayuk 14 million. That's a ton of money on the cap for whatever that number of guys is, 8 or 9 guys. I mean, this year is a huge year for the 49ers. And at this point, you can keep kind of kicking the can down the road on the cap and just keep renegotiating every year. You can create room in any one year, but eventually there's going to be a price to be paid on the back end in one of these years where they're going to have to, probably wind up cutting a lot of guys loose. It shows that this year, I mean, would you say this year, I mean, when I see those numbers, Raj, I think to myself, this is a Super Bowl or bust year for the 49ers. This might be the last year of Trent Williams' window as a career, and it may be the last year of their window to win with the best left tackle in football. And there's other guys like Kittle coming up behind him. Do you look at this year's Super Bowl or bust? Is this year Super Bowl or bust? Is that too high of a standard?
I don't think it's too high of a standard. I mean, look at the team. Look at the names you just listed. Those are some of the best players in the league. And of course, they're all highly paid as they should be. But eventually, and there's been a lot of people that have said this, over the offseason, the window, how big is it? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Is it 1 year? But you're right, because a lot of those guys may not be around this team for much longer, or they may not be in their prime for much longer. I don't even know if Trent Williams is going to play past the season. Right? There was rumors earlier in the offseason that he was going to retire. He talked about it, says, "Oh, my body takes a beat down every year. Eventually, I got to kind of slow down." So yeah, for some of these players, it could be the end of the line. A guy like Trent Williams, George Kittle, he's 30 years old and he plays at a very physical level. They've got a lot of tight ends now. They even brought back Troy Fugamali or Troy that guy back. They drafted 2 tight ends in the draft. Like, they have a lot of tight ends because I think eventually they are planning on a guy like Kittle leaving. And yeah, Debo's cap hit, BA next year, after his 5th-year option, they got a lot of questions. How many more years can this team, succeed with these core group of players? Those are the most important players on this team. And I think as long as they're on this team, they have a chance to get far and win a Super Bowl. But this year, I agree. I think it is critical. I think it is a Super Bowl or bust season. I know a lot of fans, we've been so close, right? 2 NFC championships in the last 2 years. We got a Super Bowl appearance in 2019, and we've become so close. But at some point, you got to get over the hump. And I know we always say quarterback, 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 but you've added Hargrave, you've added CMC. This team is so phenomenal. I feel like at some point, yeah, you got to figure out how to get over the hump. And whether it's not a Super Bowl or bust year, this year, eventually that window will close. And again, you have guys like Fred Warner, who's still in his prime. He's not going to be in his prime forever. So they may have to, restructure some of those contracts down the line. But at the same time, you keep these same players, eventually they're going to be past their prime. And you're going to lose some players. So I think this year is very critical for the 49ers. They've put together a super star-studded roster, one of the best talented rosters in the entire NFL. And I think that, yeah, if they don't win a Super Bowl this year, I don't know if they will with this roster. It kind of starts getting a little scary when you think about it. So, yeah, I think this is a Super Bowl or bust year.
It kind of illustrates maybe why they were so all in with Brock Purdy. Just because they view Brock as, hey, look, he's ready to go, right? He's ready to play right now. Where Trey may have higher upside, Trey may have a higher ceiling, but it may take 2 years, it may take 3 years. And they're looking at their core going, wait a second, on our cap, this has to be our year. And so who's the quarterback that we feel like we couldn't win with this year? Well, it's Brock. Okay, so then we're all in with Brock. That might be a big part of their kind of their view of their quarterback room based on their roster and their cap and where their team's at. There's 9 guys there: Debo, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, George Kittle, Charvarius Ward, Javon Hargrave, McCaffrey, and Ayuk. If all of a sudden you're in a meeting and basically Parag's like, guys, we can cut this down any way we want, but the reality is we're gonna have to trade one of these guys. Who are you gonna trade off that list? There's 9 guys there. You want to hear the list again? Debo,
Yeah.
Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, George Kittle, Mooney Ward, Javon Hargrave, who hasn't even played a game for the Niners yet, CMC, and Ayuk. They're all have 14 million or more. They have cap hits for 2024 between 28 million and 14 million. And Parag comes into the room and says, I am Parag, and we must trade one of these guys. Before they say, sit down, Parag, which one of those guys?
All right. First off, if Parag does say that, I'm going to put him in an arm bar and I'll be
I am Parag.
Yeah, come on now. That would be crazy. But I mean,
that would be a great T-shirt to have. I'd buy that at the Niners store. I am Parag.
I would be a good shirt, actually. But a couple things. So one of the big reasons we have, like you said, Purdy and Trey Lance and these guys, is so we can afford those guys. We want to keep a quarterback on a rookie contract. But eventually, if Brock Purdy comes in and he dominates the league again, and he becomes a really good franchise quarterback, we're going to have to pay him, or Trey Lance, or whatever the case is. So, yeah, you're right. Parag might walk in one day and says, we got to get rid of one of you guys because we got to pay the quarterback, or we got to restructure some deals here and there. But on all those guys, man, it's tough. I feel like BA would have the most value because he's still kind of entering his prime. He's a top flight receiver on any other team. We talked about this. He'd be a number 1 receiver. I feel like CMC, though, might be the guy you trade because he still has great value. And running back is a position Kyle Shanahan can pick out of thin air and make a good running back. So that might be the way to go. It's tough though, man. I mean, if I had to, and I don't want to trade any of these guys, just based on the value and knowing what I could probably get back on investment, I'd probably go Brandon Ayuk. I don't want to trade him because I think he's potentially going to have one of the biggest breakout seasons this year. So I don't. But based on those guys, I mean, I think you get the most value for Brandon Ayuk. That's tough. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a choice between Debo and Ayuk. And it's like that's a tough choice because Debo is such a culture player for the Niners, and you know, to me, it's like there's the top of your roster. It starts with tone setters and culture players, guys who set the tone on Sunday on either side of the football, and guys who are really vital to your culture. Um, and both those, I mean, Debo is a guy who's vital to both. He's a tone setting player on game day. He comes out with the physicality. He just he's a great competitor. He's a great competitor, and he's very physical, and he brings his physicality to the defense, and he in a lot of ways he is the 49ers identity on offense. So I guess I'd have to say, even though I think it makes more logical sense and I could hear more arguments that would make sense to trade Debo, especially since he's got the biggest number and will give you the greatest cap relief. Um, I'd probably wind up saying Ayuk just because I think you could maybe find a replacement, or at least, one of the things we've seen in like the last 5 years, it seems like every year in the draft, this year, not as much, but most years, receiver is just loaded. There's just all kinds of receivers in the draft. So, you know, maybe, but if you said to me, who's going to age better, Ayuk or Debo, it's Ayuk. So then that's another tough one because they are aging players at this point. You may want to go with Ayuk just because his body's gonna evolve a little bit better, and he may have a greater longevity in the NFL because of it. Anybody who runs through instead of around usually doesn't have as great a longevity, and that's Debo. But you love the guys who run through because they're tone setters because they do run through you. You know what I mean? And so that'll be tough. It'll be tough. But to me, it's between those two guys. It's between the two receivers.
Yeah, it is tough because you got a guy like Debo who, like you said, his shelf life is probably shorter just the way he plays. Same with Kittle. Like, he's 30 years old. He's played through a lot of injuries over his career. But those two guys are just so important to the culture of this team and the identity. And it's not to say that Brandon Ayuk doesn't have an identity on this offense, but he even said it, he was the fourth option on this team. He's still got 1,000 yards. So knowing that they can get a pure receiver in the draft and get a first round draft pick and replace him, it would be not easy to replace a guy like Brandon because he's developed over the years. He's put in the work. His body has transformed. His route running has come a long way. But in terms of just value, you're probably going to get the most out of a guy out of Brandon Ayuk out of that group. Because again, Debo, I think they had their moment to trade him. And when his value was at his peak, I don't think you get as much out of him because in 49ers offense, Debo is so special for them. I don't know if he'd be able to do as much as he would do on another team just because Kyle knows how to use Debo like nobody's business, man. He's like the straw that stirs the drink for the 49ers offense. So it's a tough question. I mean, you can make an argument for some of the other guys, but I agree with you. It's got to be BA.
49ers signed 3 players this morning, so they need to release 2, I guess, to get below their 90-man roster limit, according to what I'm reading. Brandon Allen, the quarterback, he's the 4th-string quarterback, drafted by the Jags in the 6th round. In the 2016 draft, he's played 7 years in the league for Jacksonville, the Rams, the Broncos, and most recently with the Bengals. He's appeared in 15 games, 9 starts, 56% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns. In 2022, he appeared in 1 game with the Bengals, completed three passing attempts, or 3 passing. He completed 3 passing attempts for 22 yards. So he's a 30-year-old. He played at Arkansas. And then in addition to that, in addition to him, Marlon Davidson, the Auburn defensive tackle, was signed, and then the tight end Troy Fumagalli who was with the Niners last year, also was signed. I haven't talked to you since the draft. What was your assessment of the draft? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite pick? What pick didn't you like?
I love the draft. I thought I gave it a solid B. I mean, they didn't trade up really, other than going up for Jair Brown, which I was a little surprised by that. I was okay. They did move a little up. I thought that was a great position. We talked about this. Safety was a position I felt like they would maybe target in their first few picks, and they did. The guy has a lot of potential. Obviously, this year they got Gibson and Huff. Next year, Gibson will be gone, so you're going to mentor this guy Brown, who could come in and be a really good situational player on in the backfield. You could put him in special teams. Might be even an extra pass rusher. You can blitz from the safety position. They like to do that. Steve Wilkes sometimes is a little aggressive in those aspects. So I love the pick. I think this guy was a home run pick, 3rd round. I think eventually he becomes a very solid starter for this 49ers. And Gibson will be able to, and Hufanga will be able to mentor this guy. So I love that pick. I know the Jake Moody pick was controversial, but I think that just like Lynch and Shanahan said, there was probably going to be a kicker taken in the 4th round, and there was by the Patriots. So they got their guy where they wanted him. It was, not the pick everybody wanted, but I think that was a smart pick because they said they don't have a starter at kicker. You got Zane Gonzalez, but he's had a lot of injuries to his career. Now you got a little competition, put a little, chip on Jake Moody's shoulder coming into camp, and I think he'll be a solid kicker for us. I love the pick, actually. I'm a big Jake Moody guy. So I think they reached a little on the tight end Cameron Latou, but I think he could be a solid guy. Again, they need depth in the tight end position. He's got some chemistry with George Kittle. They've tight end university last year. Latou was there, one of the only collegiate guys there last year. So I think that was a good pickup, a guy that could kind of learn from Kittle. I love the defensive picks after that. Winters.
Who by the way, who picks that tight end? Is it Kittle himself? I mean, is it based on merit, or is it based on who's Kittle's buddies, or who Kittle likes personally? What's the I've never understood kind of like the breakdown of what that camp tight end is about. I know it's about becoming better at the position, having kind of a brotherhood, so on and so forth. But like I saw that same nugget that you just kind of threw out just there, like which is that he was like the only college tight end to be there, or one of only one or two. Does that mean that Kittle, is his buddy, or does that mean that Kittle thinks he's awesome? How do you get invited to that camp?
I think it's a little bit of both. So it's Kittle, it's Greg Olsen, it's it's Travis Kelce. It's guys that they feel, could help represent the tight end position and help be ambassadors. Because what they want is more awareness to the tight end position. They want to continue to make the tight end position get more just overall eyes on it. And they want to make it so when people are playing football in high school, to say, oh, look, tight end's a pretty cool position. Like there's George Kittle, there's Kelce. So they just wanted guys that they felt would be good ambassadors. I'm sure that they have some pull here and there if they've reached out to Kittle, or if, they talked here and there. So again, I think that's kind of how they dictate it. So yeah, he's been in tight end university, so he has a little bit of chemistry, I guess, from Kittle. I like the guy overall. I mean, I don't think he was horrible, but I feel like at the position they picked him at, I think they could have got him a little later. I think that's what a lot of people feel like. So it wasn't their strongest pick at that spot. But again, 49ers, they've been racking up tight ends, so something's brewing there. So they want a big competition. The defensive picks, though, in late round.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the Beal. I thought that this guy might be a 5th round. Like he might be like the George Kittle of this draft. 5th round, just pure speed off the edge. The D Winters guy, they basically can replace Greenlaw or Aziz now with this guy. I love the D Winters pick. And Ronnie Bell, that was a sneaky little addition at the end, the 7th round. I loved it. I'm a big Ronnie Bell guy. A little sneaky. He's a little yak guy. Hey, they might get rid of a receiver next year. Ronnie Bell might have some traits where he could kind of come in and play that Debo, Ray McLeod type, versatile role. I don't know. He could be a return man. And then the last pick, Jalen Graham, depth at linebacker. The 49ers develop linebackers better than anybody. So go ahead. I wasn't like jumping up and down with the pick, but he's a guy that probably gets in as special teams. But overall, I think the draft was was good. They didn't make big splash picks, but the 49ers don't. They know how to develop players. These guys are all going to be in their development, and eventually will take over down the line. Like you said, we may be getting rid of some of these guys down the line. So some of these guys in the future will be starters. But I think overall, my favorite pick was probably the Robert Beal and Jair Brown. I love those two picks.
I love the D Winters and the Jalen Graham. To me, the Niners are already loaded at linebacker, but right now they're hot when it comes to linebacker. They see it well. They understand who the players are. I think Marcelino is going to be great this year, but I mean D Winters is just he's just I watched him in the game against Michigan, and it's just this guy was just living in the backfield, and his recognition of what the play was going to be so early. He was shooting gaps and getting into the backfield and making plays against the run. It was impressive, and he moves really fast. I mean, whatever he ran, he plays fast. And Jalen Graham, I really liked Jalen Graham 2 years ago. I saw him 2 years ago with Purdue, and I thought, man, this guy's an NFL linebacker. But then, I didn't, I thought his measurables weren't that great and his workouts weren't that great. But then Scott McLuhan told Matt Barrows that, Graham, he was glowing in his breakdown of Graham. So it just kind of made me that much more believe in my assessment that he's a player. So I like those two picks. I like Graham and I like D Winters. And I also think the corner from South Alabama, Luter, is a really interesting player. Another thing I read today on Twitter, and I forget who had this one, but this was another nugget that I thought was really good. The 49ers, a couple years ago, just couldn't get any interceptions. It was like, would they have like 2 interceptions or something? It was like really, really low from their safeties or from their DBs. They were not getting interceptions, and that was when they had Tart and Ward at the safety spots, and they just weren't getting picks. I feel like there's been kind of an organizational change to go for ball skills. I mean, they brought in Tayshaun Gibson. He had like 27 picks, and he had a good year intercepting the ball. Hafanga's got a good nose for the ball. And then today, in Niners, of course, then last year led the NFL. They had 20 interceptions, but they drafted a bunch of guys with a lot of turnover production on their resume. Listen to this. Jair Brown had 10 picks.
Yeah.
Darrell Luter Jr. at South Alabama, 10 picks. D. Winters had 3. Jalen Graham had 3. Then they got Deshaun Jameson from Texas as an undrafted free agent. He had 6 picks in his career. Avery Young from Rutgers had 3. The Niners are putting a greater emphasis on ball skills in their secondary. And I think it's genius because it's like ball production and sack production. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. It's hard to describe what it takes to have it, but it's just one of those things. It's like there's no such thing as an awesome defensive end that doesn't sack the quarterback, and there's no such thing as a great defensive back that doesn't intercept the ball. And I think the 49ers kind of re-emphasis on DBs and linebackers, guys in their back seven who are going to be in pass coverage in this pass happy NFL where you're in the sub package all the time, to prioritize guys with interception production, I think is super smart.
Yeah, no, that's why I love the Brown pick, the Jair Brown, because that is a ball hog. He is a turnover machine. That's what we need. The 49ers defense like you said, they led the league, or they were tied for interceptions. They were always getting turnovers, and that's what you need to do. You need to force turnover, put your offense on the field, and that's why I like that Brown pick, because this guy he'll read the coverage, he'll intercept it, he'll cause some type of some type of penalty or turnover, and that's the kind of ball we need with the defensive back. Jaquiski Tart, that wasn't his game. He was a hard hitter, had good instincts here and there, but he couldn't force a turnover. I mean, I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say we remember the NFC Championship game. If he had ball skills, he would have picked that ball off. I'm going to say anything more after that. You already know. But that's what 49ers need. They need guys that can cause turnovers. And Jair Brown and a lot of those other guys they got, and like you said, some of the undrafted guys, they have a knack for the ball. Hufanga and Jair Brown, the future safety duo, it's in good hands. I'm excited. I love the pick. D Winters, though, you're right. That guy, I watched this film. That guy is so good with his instincts, like the way he just goes laterally. And I remember the TCU Michigan game. I was just like, guys, who is this guy? He's killing. He was killing it. Like every time Michigan snapped the ball, they couldn't get anything. He was just living in the backfield. That guy was a beast. So,
he goes low. He shoots gaps and goes low. So he just brings you to the ground, and it's just we have Winters in the Niners D. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. It's gonna be
I'm excited.
it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
One last one before we let you go.
Yeah.
Here we are. We're May whatever, 6th, 7th, 8th, May 8th. May 8th, Friday is rookie mini camp. Get our first look at the rookies.
Yeah.
Give me some bust out candidates. Let's talk about breakout candidates. Who's going to break out this summer? That's the beauty of the NFL is, you know what? The clock turns fast and guys get old before your eyes, but guys emerge from year to year. And nobody stays, that old saying, nobody stays where they're at. You either are getting better or you're getting worse. And some guys are getting a lot better. And on the tail end, some guys are getting a lot worse. And that's kind of the key to building a roster is make sure your roster has as few guys as possible that are getting dramatically worse if you can avoid it. So there's always a lot of turnover. This year's no different. Give me some breakout candidates. Who in your mind who's going to be breaking out this summer, whether it be in camp or in August in the preseason? Who's going to be a breakout candidate?
Yeah, a couple of them. So we talked about this guy earlier in the show, Drake Jackson. This is the season he's gonna have to, but I think Drake Jackson honestly puts it together, and I think he's gonna have a big camp. I think we're gonna be talking about him a lot this offseason. I get the vibe that there's gonna be a lot of content on Drake Jackson, and I feel like he's gonna be able to have a very strong start to the season, just like Hufanga did last year. So I expect Drake Jackson to have a huge breakout. Another guy you mentioned, Marcelino McCrary-Ball. I think this guy is the guy that's going to take Aziz's spot. Now they have a lot of linebackers for competition. It's just going to raise his level of competition up and his work ethic. Because you said it before, this guy has the skills to be a top flight linebacker. I've seen it, and I think this guy is going to take that leap and be one of those big time breakout guys on this team. On the offensive side of the ball, Jordan Mason, man, we saw glimpses of him last year. And they were very, very nice. He's that undrafted running back that Shanahan always gets. And I know everybody's talking about Elijah Mitchell. If Elijah Mitchell gets any type of injury, Jordan Mason is coming for that man's job 100%. I think Jordan Mason is going to continue to work hard. He's got a big bag of chips on his shoulder, and he works harder than a lot of those players. So I think Jordan Mason's a guy. And another guy I'm looking that might break out, they added a lot of free agent cornerbacks this year, Isaiah Oliver, Miles Hartfeld. But the guy that we're forgetting is Sam Womack last year. He showed some really good flashes in preseason last year. And I think that's a guy that's going to really step up and insert himself into this roster. So those are the guys I'm expecting to break out. I hope Danny Gray does, but I don't know.
I'll throw a couple more on that list. Kalia Davis. Kalia Davis is going to break out. And Kalia Davis is going to break out in a big way. Okay. So I'm really excited about seeing him. I mean, he could be a starter. That's how good he is. I mean, he's a major league pass rusher. Marcelino for sure. That's a great call. Marcelino's going to break out. I'll give you one that you didn't throw out there that I really think breaks out is Quantrez Knight. Quantrez Knight. Now, I don't know if he's going to play the corner, the slot, if he's going to play free safety. Would not be shocked if Quantrez really looks good in year 2. Jordan Mason, that's an absolute no doubter. Jordan Mason's going to break out. I'm hoping Trey Lance is like the major breakout, right? Because he should be. I mean, he's healthy now. He's going to have an opportunity. Come on, he's got to beat out Sam Darnold, right? I don't care where Sam Darnold is sitting at Warrior games. Trey Lance has got to be able to beat him out. I'll say Nick Zakelj on that offensive line. I think Zakel's terrific. 6'6", tough, smart. He's going to bust out for sure. And I'm going to say Tay Martin As far as rookie receivers, Tay Martin and Danny Gray, I think they both potentially show up this year looking like a whole lot. Gray as a vertical threat, Martin as a red zone threat. I just think those guys are too good to not step up. So those are the guys that I think. It's going to be exciting though, because the one thing that you realize when you talk about breakout players with the Niners, they have breakout players almost at every position on their team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Almost every spot on their team, they have young players with a lot of talent that very easily could break out. Some of them are rookies, some of them are second year guys, some of them are third year guys. But you know what I'm saying? They got a lot of young players that the arrow's pointing up.
Yeah.
That overall, is a great thing. Raj, good stuff, man. We'll let you get on with the rest of your Monday. Hope you feel better. We'll talk to you next Monday. Good work, my friend.
Yeah, appreciate you. Hey, real quick, breaking
Yeah.
news. They just announced that the NFL schedule will be released Thursday night. We got to find out who we playing on Thursday.
Well, it's funny on that. Last note on that, Mayoko and Barrows both seem to think that the 49ers will not be going to the UK this year. Yeah. But I was talking to my people in the UK. We did a stream this morning with the great Lee Gowland, and he actually is still holding out hope that the Niners may be going to the UK. So either Lee is got sources or Mayoko and Barrows are all over it. But what do you think? I wouldn't mind seeing the Niners against the Jaguars in the UK.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. But I have someone that works for like a ticketing company, and he was it's like a social media ticketing company and all this stuff. So he was actually reaching out to me to see if I wanted to go, and he's selling tickets under the impression. This was like for a month now, under the impression that the game is going to be played in Jacksonville. So I think that Barrows and Mayoko might be onto something, but we'll see. We won't know officially until Thursday. But yeah, I don't think they'll play in London just because the 49ers schedule, there's so much traveling and I don't know. We'll see. I would love to see them play a game in London. I would be there. That would be a fun game because that atmosphere is amazing. But it'd be very early in the morning. And I feel like the 49ers are a good primetime team. And I think they want to make sure they get as many primetime games for the 49ers as possible this year. So that's my take on it.
Trock in our chat here is trying to get Sammy Dimes for Sam Darnold going, like Danny Dimes for Daniel Jones. Sammy Dimes.
Well,
what do you think, Sammy Dimes?
Let's see if he throws some dimes. If he does, we using the name.
That you're a big part of that, Raj. We need to get you going if we're gonna get Sammy Dimes out there and rolling.
I might have to get it trending, right? Is that what you want? Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, Mayoko's done his part. You got to take the thing and run with it.
I don't know. I almost died when I heard that interview and he said, or that pod when he says that he's the best thrower of the football he's ever seen. I was like, right. How much are they paying him?
My thought immediately was, come on, man. I mean, we're all optimistic, but come on, right? I mean, and did Matt come up with that on his own? Because there hasn't been any practices, so that's got to be coming from somebody inside, and somebody inside said that. You got Joe Montana. Now, I understand throwing of the football. We're just talking about pure velocity and that we're not talking about accuracy. We're just talking about horse. It's kind of a statement more about horsepower and, you know what I mean? And I get that. There's a nuance to that has to be understood. He's not saying he's a better quarterback than Joe Montana. He says he throws a better ball. But either way, why say that?
I know.
I mean, come on.
That opened the floodgates last week. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Why say that? Why say that?
It's good stuff. It got the views. It got the hooked people in.
I think Mayoko maybe got some heat because a couple days later, man, he was in Deion Sanders backpedal mode. Yeah. I could have, he might be. Also means he might not be.
He may or may not be. Yeah, because the way he said it, he may be the best third. So the way he phrased it, he gave him a little leeway to say, well, let me pivot. That was good.
All right, Raj, have a great Monday, man.
You too, man. Take care, Larry.
There you go. The great Raj from RSF 49ers. Raj is terrific. All right. That was classic though. Yeah. He might be, I'm not saying he is, but he might be the best thrower. All right. We have a new sponsor for the Krug Show. That's right. Game Time app where you can buy or sell tickets to any game or music event. That's right. Just click or check the description to get tickets, or I should say, click the links in the description to get tickets. And if you do this, of course, it will help the show. So, Game Time app, click the link if you want to buy or sell tickets to sporting events or music events as well. All right. Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. We're going to get through a couple starred chats here in just a second. But first, a mention for Pig and a Pickle.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, coming down the home stretch on the Krug Show on this Monday. Join me in an hour and 10 minutes on the Grant Cohn channel. Grant and I will be chopping it up on the Niners later today. I was walking through the walking in the at Safeway in Walnut Creek yesterday, or a couple days ago now, and a couple of young guys came. I'm talking to my son on the phone about the show and different things. A couple guys come up to me. Hey, man, I know you. I'm like, oh, hey, man, how you doing? Thanks. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching. He's like, you're Grant Cohn. I'm like, no, what? I'm Grant Cohn. I'm like, no, I'm Larry Krueger. He's like, oh, yeah, but you're on with Grant Cohn. I'm like, yeah, all right. That was a glimpse into how big of a star Grant has become via YouTube. It's amazing. He is just absolutely everywhere. People are now recognizing me from his show. We got a couple starred chats here. Trock, Kyle's best friend, Chris Sims, was talking about how Sammy Dimes is going to beat out Trey Lance to win the starting quarterback job. Is this the consensus around the league and why no one wanted to trade for Trey Lance? Well, we don't know. First of all, we don't know. We don't know what the Niners were asking. We don't even know if he was even available on draft weekend. We really don't. Sounds like from Ian Rappaport like he wasn't. It's the weird thing about the Ian Rappaport thing is how specific Ian Rappaport has been on this. I mean, it's not like, hey, you know what? I think Trey Lance may get moved. It wasn't like that kind of a take. It was like the 49ers don't know where Brock Purdy is, and when he is ready and shows that he is capable, then the 49ers will be entertaining a deal for Trey Lance this summer, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was almost as if they have some kind of deal worked out already, and it's not going to be consummated until Brock proves that he's healthy. I have no sources on that or anything, but it's very weird that a guy like, why wouldn't you just say if you're Ian Rappaport, yeah, indications are he may get dealt this summer. Instead, it's like, or indications are they're going to entertain offers. He was just very specific about Trey Lance and him being moved this summer. So we shall see. Who knows? These guys get paid to be right, but they're not always right. Great Tone 765 says, you mean the Lakers and the Zebras in 6? It's so damn obvious the NBA wants the Lakers in the finals. I hope the NBA gets really exposed for fixing these games and these owners lose billions. I don't think the games are being fixed. Come on. But, the one thing about it is it seems like whatever's in the league's financial best interest does seem to win out. The foul totals are ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have looked at it. It's insane. Just to give you an idea, free throw totals. Okay, 76ers Celtics. 84 free throws so thus far for the 76ers, 79 for the Celtics. Five free throw differential. Heat Knicks, 77 for the Heat, 72 for the Knicks. Once again, five free throw differential. Nuggets, 57 free throws, 40 for the Suns, plus 17. Much bigger disparity there. Total free throws for the Lakers and Warriors. 83 for the Lakers, 39 for the Warriors. Really? Minus, what's that, 44? 44? That's ridiculous. That's a huge free throw disparity. Huge. By the way, game 4 referee assignments tonight. Scott Foster, Kevin Scott, and Curtis Blair. Take it for what it is. I have no idea. I guess Foster is considered to be a good ref for road teams. The bottom line is Steph Curry's not getting the calls that Steph Curry should be getting. Steph Curry has 7 free throws in 99 minutes of floor time. Dennis Schroeder has 18 free throws in 69 minutes. 68 minutes on the floor. And then you say, well, Schroeder drives more than Steph. Steph has more drives than Schroeder in the series. He has 7 free throws. Schroeder has 18. So, I don't know. I mean, if LeBron's getting more free throw attempts, I get it. But Schroeder's going to the line. It ain't about that. It's about other things. A couple things that stand out. One, Steph Curry is 35 years old. 35. Okay? He needs to have help to free himself up in the half court against these bigger, longer defenders. In the past, the Warriors have never had to really do anything or do a lot to free him up because he can free himself up. That's really not the case any longer. They need to work as a team in the half court to free him up. They need to set picks. They need to set screens. They need to work on it. They need to make sure that that is a priority. That's got to be a major priority. The other thing is they got to get something out of Poole. So maybe you start Poole. Maybe you got to get something out of Poole. You got to get something out of Kuminga. You're not good enough, deep enough. You bombed the second pick in the draft. Total swing and a miss. You can't bomb on Kuminga too. And, Kerr, this is on Kerr. Kerr, I've been saying it for years. You bring everybody along. I should now amend that. You bring everybody along except Jonathan Kuminga. Bring him along. There were people arguing that Moses Moody couldn't play a month ago too. Now look at him. He's playing pretty well. Figure it out. Get Kuminga on the floor. If Poole's a non-factor and Kuminga's a non-factor, the Warriors are fucking going home. All right? It's as simple as that. Those guys have to be factors or it's a wrap. A couple other thoughts. Number one priority of the night, get Curry going. Get him good looks in the half court. Have him shoot a huge number of times. He averaged 23 this round so far. He's been averaging 33 in the first round against Sacramento. You got to get Steph off, and he can't do it by himself. So the priority has got to be get Steph, not just share the ball. It's got to be get Steph good looks in the half court. And it's also got to be get out and run. You're the faster team. You got to get out and run. The Lakers' defense in the half court is far better than their defense in transition. You have to get out and run. So get out and run, and then if the game settles into the half court, get Steph Curry good looks and work as a team to do it. And the other thing, and this is probably the key factor in the game, is Draymond already a Laker? Is he already auditioning to be LeBron's buddy? Is he already trying to fit in over there? He was scooping up Anthony Davis from the floor. What happened to the ferocious lion Draymond Green that we've known forever in the playoffs? What happened to the ferocious Draymond that we saw in Series 1 in the first round against Sacramento? I don't see that ferocious Draymond. And without that ferocious Draymond, the rest of this shit doesn't matter. The Warriors are cooked. So what's up with Draymond? Is Draymond trying to be LeBron's buddy? Can he not get it going for LeBron and AD? Can he not get it fired up and find that ferocious level that makes him in this round because he's going to be a Laker next year? Is that where we're at? Because that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like he doesn't, last round, it was a war against Sabonis. Now it's just like, hey, AD, can we help you out, bud? Hey, LeBron, what's going on? They're talking at the free throw line. Draymond's ferocity is a big part of what makes Draymond Draymond. Draymond minus that ferocity, pretty average player. All right, that's my thoughts on tonight. Warriors got to get calls, but they got to go up tempo. They got to get Steph involved. They got to get Poole involved. They got to find a role for Kuminga. They got to rebound the basketball. They got to share the basketball. I mean, there's a bunch of things they got to do, but at the end of the day, the big ones are where the fuck is Poole? And Kuminga, you can't just let him just wither and die. Work him back in, Steve. My God, you're not getting this done without Jonathan. And somehow everybody needs to understand that Curry needs to shoot the ball most of the time, and you gotta work as a team to make sure he gets freed up for those looks. And then Draymond, it's all about Draymond. He's the engine, and if he's just like, hey, I'm gonna be a Laker next year and whatever, then they're done. But if he can find the ferocious Draymond that he showed in the first round, he's shown every year in the playoffs that he's ever been a Warrior. I mean, where's that guy? I haven't seen that guy in this series. All right. Those are my thoughts on Golden State and Scott Foster, whatever, whoever's whoever's officiating is officiating. On the one one from Chris Sims, Chris Sims is his own guy. Everybody always assumes it's coming from Kyle if it comes from Sims. Sims is obviously a fan of Darnold, but Darnold's got other fans as well. So we'll see. Either Darnold was the Jets were the reason that Darnold was bad, or Darnold just turns it over. To me, he looks like a guy with an elongated release. Guys breaking the ball. I think that's a big key to his turnovers. Smitty says Lakers in 6. Albert Soto, May 11th, full NFL schedule coming out. They just announced it on NFL Live. 420 Savage. Trey Lance needs to man up and take his spot back. It's a good way of saying it. Trox says, yeah, Sammy Dimes, baby. Sammy Dimes. Can we really go with Sammy Dimes? That's just going to annoy everybody. Gabriel Lopez responding to the New York style Italian sausage commercial. Larry's Italian mob family. Thank you. Yeah, don't cross me. Don't cross me. You may wind up in the part of a salami. Gregus Khan, Sims, Florio, and Silver are all cut from the same cloth. Not sure what cloth that is. Is it a good cloth? Terry cloth? We got this one from Holland Tracy. Larry Krueger carries way more weight than Grant Cohn. Everybody remembers Larry from the good old KMBR B days. Larry, you're by far my favorite 49er content creator, and it's not even close. Wow, not even close? Thank you. Appreciate that. But not even close. Terradome, you can't have Splash without a pool. Terradome, love you, brother. Have a great day. Terradome. And by the way, we're on tonight after the game. Terradome, sounds like some internal issues there, Lair. Good stuff. Good stuff. One more from Terradome. I know what it is. I love you, Larry, but your team is lazy. Lazy, Larry. They're lazy. Beautiful. Eric Hernandez, I think the Warriors will win in 7, but it's tough to defeat LeBron and the refs. Yeah, come on, it's tough. All right, hey, I'm going to go get some lunch, maybe talk to my family a little bit. Hey, I recognize you guys. Hey, good to see you. What are you doing around here? What's your day like? Oh, yeah, mine too. All right, check me out, though, in 56 minutes on the Cone Zone channel. And then check me out tonight after Warrior basketball, Warriors-Lakers, big game tonight. And I'm going to see if I can get Damon Bruce to stop by around 5 o'clock on the Krug Show. All that straight ahead. Have a great rest of your day. And we will see you later today. We'll see you in a little bit on Grant's show. And we'll see you later tonight on the Krug channel right here.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at.